City of Adelaide Council meeting on Tuesday, 23 June 2026. The Lord Mayor is in the chair. This council meeting will be streamed live and recorded for publishing to the internet. Please note that an audio and visual recording is being taken of this meeting. This means your presence at and any contribution you make to the meeting may be collected, used, disclosed or published publicly by the Council, including transferring outside Australia.
Good evening. The City of Adelaide acknowledges the Kaurna people of the Adelaide Plains as the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. We acknowledge and honour their spiritual and cultural stewardship of this country and recognise their deep and enduring relationship with its lands, waters and sky, as well as all living things. We pay respects to Kaurna elders past and present and recognise the important role of emerging leaders in sustaining and strengthening culture. The Council also acknowledges the vision of Colonel William Light in determining the site of Adelaide and the design of the city with its 6 squares and surrounding belt of continuous parklands, which is recognised on the National Heritage List as one of the greatest examples of Australia's planning heritage. We pray for wisdom, courage, empathy, understanding and guidance in the decisions that we make, while seeking and respecting the opinions of others. May we in this meeting speak honestly, listen attentively, think clearly and decide wisely for the good governance of the City of Adelaide and the well-being of those we serve. Now I'll ask all those present to stand in silence in memory of those who gave their lives in defence of their country, at sea, on land and in the air. Thank you. Please be seated. I can't see the clock anymore. No, thank you. Now we'll move on to item 6, which is apologies and leave of absence. Apologies from Councillor Abrahimzadeh and leave of absence from the Deputy Lord Mayor, Councillor Noon and Councillor Freeman. Could I ask if someone would move the minutes from the last meeting? Councillor Snape moved, seconded by Councillor Martin. All those in favour? I'll say it again. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Thank you, members. Are there any declarations of conflict of interest? Councillor Martin.
Yes, thank you, Lord Mayor. I will have a general conflict of interest in relation to item 15.2. I have a relative who works in the field of homelessness, not directly concerned with the matter at hand, but nevertheless I'll be abundantly cautious and declare a general conflict.
Thank you. You've recorded that on the document. Thank you very much. I'll declare a conflict on the AIDA budget as well. Could we move on now to 9? Deputations, we have none. Petitions, we have none. 11, the CEO Performance Review Panel. So I think this is a general conflict and the CEO will be available to answer questions if required. Councillor Siebentrit? Moved, seconded by Councillor Snape. Is there any debate? Councillor Kouros?
Can the CEO please leave the chamber while we debate this?
I'm sorry?
Could the CEO leave the chamber? I think it's more appropriate while we debate this.
I think we can do that. He stayed in order to answer questions, but Mr. Sedgman, you've been asked to leave the chamber.
Noting the request of the chamber for me to remove myself, I will reinforce that I have an interest but no conflict in the item, as there is no direct benefit to me regarding the recommendations being presented to the council. I'll ask Mr Spartalis to support the Lord Mayor in the chamber.
Thank you, Mr Spartalis. If you would come forward. Mr Spartalis is acting for the CEO in the chair. Councillor Davis, did you have a question? Councillor Kouros.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I guess I wanted to discuss this item because after reviewing the KPI and the progress report,
Could you just speak up a little? I'm sorry.
I'm trying to keep my tone low. I've been told that I yell a lot, so
Okay.
I'm trying to keep it low.
We'll just turn the microphone up
I
slightly.
have done so, Lord
okay,
Mayor.
thank you.
So I'm trying to keep my tone low, but I can speak louder if you wish. My overall observation is that the KPIs are heavily focused on activities and outputs rather than measuring whether the city is actually becoming more vibrant, affordable, attractive, financially sustainable or economically successful as per the strategic plan. So my questions are, or my concerns are, I guess I'll start with my concerns. The Main Street projects are marked as in progress, but we have delayed them. And I'm just concerned that we haven't really reflected on the fact that we haven't delivered them, although they are in progress, but they were meant to be delivered in a specific time frame before, as by highlighted by council and requested by council, but they weren't, and they needed to be retimed. Also, the employee engagement is falling, so it's fallen from 63% to 56%, but it still remains green. So I'm just a bit concerned if something has reduced, why is it remaining green? The other one is in regards to economic development. It really lacks meaningful measures. It's measured by festivals, events and sponsorships, when I believe it should be more centred on business closures, economic growth, pedestrian counts or visitor expenditure, other more measurable items rather than what we have been doing for many years in helping supporting the festivals and events, but it actually is measurable by and delivered by other externals. I guess I could go on. The score was 64% the result was 56% for the organisational culture. I think the target score was 64%, a bit of a difference. The Main Street revitalisation has been watered down. I'm just concerned, Lord Mayor, that everything was green, yet there are things that are not really, haven't really been achieved that really should be addressed, and I'm concerned that we're not really looking at the KPIs in a more measurable sense. So I guess if the Main Street program has been delayed by several years, how is the KPI considered to be on track? Why does the proposed KPI framework continue to measure activities and milestones rather than economic and community outcomes? Should there be a KPI measuring reduction on commercial vacancies and businesses growth given council's stated economic development objectives? Why is the decline in employee engagement from 63% to 56% not reflected as a risk?
Thank you. Is that a question? Or
All of those. I have got questions. And
so one of the opportunities might have been to ask the CEO, but I can help you with some of those
KPIs,
matters.
though, Lord Mayor. I would have thought the panel sets the KPIs.
And the council through the advice to council. So this is a retrospective review of last year, and if, as you suggest, we would prefer more milestones and more measurable figures, as they could be also in our strategic plan, I think it would be a good opportunity at the end of this financial year to completely change the process for next year. So, Councillor Martin?
Yes, thank you, Lord Mayor. Look, I'm a bit confused after hearing the councillor. Is the CEO judged on, for example, Main Street's the decision of council to defer, or is it suggested that was his decision?
Well, my view was that the deferral over the main streets was our responsibility, not the CEO's, but that may not be a common view.
But can the CEO be judged on the decision of council? That's my question.
Are you asking me for my opinion?
Well, I'm asking you for your opinion.
That's my opinion. He cannot be.
For clarification, Lord Mayor, it was actually put forward to us by administration, by the CEO, to delay the projects that we had to abide by. So I think that's unfair to say it was a council decision. We had a no-choice decision.
Thank you. Councillor Martin.
Point of order, Lord Mayor. If the council is asked to make a decision and the council makes a decision, how is the CEO responsible?
I think that we,
Lord Mayor,
just a
I'm happy
moment,
to answer
Councillor,
that.
I'm just going to answer this. I think I've given you my answer, Councillor Martin, and we obviously have to agree to differ because Councillor Couros has a different view. So.
Thank you.
Oh, I do have a different view, Lord Mayor.
And we
I
respect
think-
that. That's a
thank you.
view. Thank you. Councillor Davis.
Thank you. Look, the CEO gets paid, near $500,000 and has 715 employees under his carriage and control. The CEO's job is often to suggest or write policy documents or provide us with strategy in relation to the objectives which are eventually set by council. Now, in reviewing the report, and I only have 3 minutes, so if you gave me half an hour, I could go through line by line, for example. But it seems to me that all, if not most, of the KPIs that have been set are either completed automatically with no conduct whatsoever, or they have not critically analysed the circumstances. And I'd like to leave councillors with one example of that failure. So the council, of course, has the Local Government Act, and we must comply with the provisions of that Act. One of those provisions is section 122, subsection 1B, for example, which is a requirement that all adopted asset management plans be reflected in the long-term financial plan. Now, an independent report said that this council, over a period of 3 years, failed to comply with that provision, and it's a pretty important one. And yet, in that KPI, update the council's long-term financial plan, including the assumptions and parameters to reframe the development of the 2026-2027 business plan and budget to allow meaningful input from council members, successively over the entire term has been ticked with green, and an amazing job, where an independent advisor has informed the chamber that there has been a breach of the Local Government Act in that regard. Now, I have the same concern with pretty much every KPI. It was if you're confused, it was the report that Councillor Martin moved that the chamber got, and in that independent report it said just that. And I have the same concern with every KPI. I feel that the CEO has failed to reach his KPIs in many regards. I think his performance as CEO is severely lacking. And yet there's absolutely no real commentary about relating what's in his KPIs to the reality and actual performance of the city. So, and for example, the Hutt Street consultation strategy that was put forward and recommended by the administration, yeah, the buck does stop with us, but we don't have 715 employees, and we don't draft all the policy documents, we don't draft all the recommendations, we don't necessarily draft the strategy. We do oversee them. And so from what I can see, the recommendation to the council, which caused huge anxiety and huge angst to the Hutt Street community, was poorly managed, and I feel like we didn't get correct advice on that. And there have been many, many instances throughout.
I think that we should draw your attention to the fact that if we want to change the KPIs, we should do so after the end of this financial year. I think that opinions may vary about why we've fallen behind with our with our main street upgrades, but the position was that they were decisions that the council made. So can I remind you that we're being asked to look retrospectively, and we have an opportunity to change the KPI format for next year. Councillor Marr.
Just a couple of questions. I'm a little bit confused by Councillor Davis's comments. What report is he referring to, and what are the dates?
As I understand it, it was the ESCOSA report for the period before the CEO. Oh, yes. Would you like to give an account of it?
Yeah, through the chair, I believe that Councillor Davis is referring to Michelle Bennett's from LGIQ, the report that she did.
And the relevant dates for that report, the period of assessment?
I can't give you that date. I'm sorry, we'll have to take that on notice.
I'm happy to accept a year, close enough. What year would that be?
I can't tell you that. I don't know if anyone else can.
Yeah, from memory, it was to do with the last SCO's report from the previous year, I believe, but I would need to, as the Lord Mayor said, take that on notice to be more specific.
Yes, but I think the ESCOSA report generally reflected on the previous period.
Yeah, so he was appointed in...
Point of clarification,
Sure.
Lord Mayor, and I'm sorry to Councillor Marr, just while everyone is focused on it, isn't the LGIQ report the report into the accuracy of statements made by Councillor Davis about the financial position of council, not the accuracy of statements made by the CEO?
I think that may be the case.
Thank you.
So it wasn't actually a report on the CEO.
Yeah, and in that report,
Is this a point of order?
Yeah, well, it's a point of clarification. In that report...
We don't have clarification because Councillor Marr is speaking.
Oh, I'll let him finish and then I can help members with the report.
Thank you. I guess I was just trying to understand the relevance of those comments, if it relates to a period before the CEO was appointed and before this review. I guess I don't understand the relevance of those comments. I'm also a bit unsure of the relevance of the comments about the Main Streets deferral. We had a series of workshops where we, the councillors, asked that we had several in the process of creating the budget where we asked the administration to present us with an option to defer or restructure the delivery of those main streets. We asked them to do that, they gave it to us, and we obviously made that decision thereafter. So I don't think that reflects on the CEO at all. In fact, if anything, he did what we asked him to do. Brilliant. Can we move on to a vote?
So I have a question, Lord Mayor. You mentioned, because it's not only about the main streets, it's also the engagement, the score that fell for the employee engagement. You mentioned that we can change this after this budget. How is that done, the way that we measure for the KPIs? Does that come into council for a discussion? Does that come from the panel?
Come back to council.
It will come back to council.
We will have the next year's KPIs after they've been formulated through the performance review panel, and they will come back for decision. And that's what I suggest you make your changes, because currently we're looking retrospectively, not prospectively.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So is there any more comment on this? If not, who'd moved this? Councillor Siebentritt, do you want to sum up? All those in favour of the report as printed? All those against? That's carried, thank you. We'll move on to the next item, which is number 12. Could you ask the CEO to come back in again? Could I ask that when he does, Councillor Siebentritt moves it? It's all right, it's just on, it moves so fast sometimes, I feel slightly dizzy. Number 12, Councillor Siebentritt moved, Councillor Marr seconded. It's only noting the performance of the committee. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Thank you, members. We'll move on to 13. Now, this is slightly more complicated. I'm going to seek... Councillor, can I just clarify? Councillor Martin, you will stay in the room for the Adelaide Central Market. Did you say you had a general? What was your view?
Lord Mayor, my understanding is that under the provisions of the Local Government Act, Where there are matters in which I may ordinarily have a conflict of interest, I am exempt because it is a budget. If that is not the case, I will declare a conflict of interest.
To be cautious, let's just ask the advice of the CEO.
Through the presiding member, as a member of the governing board of ACMA, you have a material interest in the item and therefore that creates a material conflict.
Oh, well, I thank the CEO for pointing that out. I will fill out a paper and when it comes to that part of the budget, which I'm assuming the Lord Mayor will take separately,
I will take it separately. I will declare the same subsidiary conflict for Adelaide Economic Development Authority Part 8. So what I would seek to do is to seek someone else to sit in the chair. I'm going to ask, so I will take 1 to 6 first, then I will take 7 whilst Councillor Martin is out of the room, and then I will seek to leave the room for 8. So we need someone to take the chair for 8 only. Sorry? If you're happy to. Is anyone seconding that? Councillor Marr has seconded it.
Just 1 minute, sorry. Yep.
Sorry?
Yep, we need to vote on this motion to do the nominations process.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. We want a nominations process?
Yes.
So we've, Councillor Snape has nominated himself.
Yep, so we just need to approve this motion first as per our standing orders, and then we'll seek nominations.
When you say approve this motion, do you mean
Yep,
one?
So this one on the screen. So this just sets out the process.
1 and 2, okay.
I'm happy to move this, Lord Mayor.
So 1 and 2 moved. Can I take Councillor Siebentrit, because this is finance? Councillor Siebentrit's moving, Councillor Marr seconded for 1 and 2 all only. And all those in favour? It's just the process. It's not much of a debate on that. No, it's 1 and 2 part only. So that's only the submissions. It's not the process of the motion. So it's just a matter so that we can get someone in the chair. So 1 and 2. Yes. No, just one and 2. So all those in favour? Against, that's carried. Thank you, members. Now we'll get the nominations, and that was Councillor Snape nominated himself. Is that it? Is that how we do it? And Councillor Mast, no? Seconded. Okay. Are there any other nominations?
Can I nominate Councillor Siebentrit?
You can nominate Councillor Siebentrit. Councillor Siebentrit, do you accept?
I won't on this occasion. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other nominations?
So why don't we just move the Councillor
Just
Snape?
to sit in the chair for one tiny bit, Aidan. And
We don't need to do this process.
Can I just suggest there is nobody in this room that will vote against giving Ada money, okay? I suspect that we will be unanimous in that decision.
Mayor, if no one else nominates, I'm happy to sit in the chair for 30 seconds.
So Councillor Snape has been nominated. Anybody?
Oh, in that case, I'm sorry, I withdraw.
Yes.
I withdraw.
To declare that that's the call.
Sorry?
So the CEO now needs to declare that that's the
Okay.
call.
Can you call Councillor Snape? So
And then we can move on.
So Councillor Snape will get the call now from Mr. Sedgman.
Through the presiding member, there being only one nomination for the position of acting chair in relation to part 8 of item 13.1, I declare Councillor Snape elected as acting chair.
So just with your agreement, Councillor Siebentrit, as the Chair of the City Finance and Governance, would you be happy if we did 3 to 6 together, or 3 to 6 and 9, 10 and 11 together?
1 to 6.
Sorry.
1 to 6.
Sorry, 1 to 6.
Just clarify, we're taking everything on block except the one that you're stepping out for, Lord Mayor?
I'm sorry? I'm going to step out for part 8.
Yep.
And Councillor, actually we cannot pass 7 because that's Councillor Martin's item.
Mayor,
Yep. So we're doing all except for 7 and 8?
very confused. In the committee, it was all voted on block. There was no,
Because that's advice to a committee, it's not the final decision. And the legal advice we've had is that those people on subsidiaries can vote in the committees, but not in the final decision. That's the advice we've had. So can we get back to 13.1?
Apologies, Lord Mayor. Does that mean I have to declare a conflict for Caterpillar and yourself as well for Caterpillar?
Yes.
Where
Oh
is
God,
Cat-
okay.
Yes, 9 is Caterpillar.
In which case, I will declare conflict for item 9, and for the sake of proceeding things easier, I'll withdraw my nomination and suggest that perhaps Councillor Stephen, who does not have a conflict, does both of those items with which you and I are out
I
of the room.
think that's the correct thing to do. Councillor Stephen-Tritt, could you oblige?
I'm happy to oblige, Lord
Thank
Mayor.
you. And that's seconded by someone? There are no other nominations.
I'll
We've got a
move that.
withdrawal, so can we have Councillor Stephen-Tritt? I apologise for this.
Through the presiding member, noting the withdrawal of Councillor Snape's nomination and a replacement nomination by Councillor Stephen-Tritt, I declare Councillor Stephen-Tritt the acting chair for the purpose of items 8 and 9.
So I apologise. I think that if you're happy to go on block, we could do 1 to 6 together with 10 to 11, Councillor Stephen-Tritt.
I'd be very happy to do that again, Lord Mayor. Happy to oblige that.
Is there a seconder? No. Councillor Giles. Do you wish to speak to that, Councillor Stephen-Tritt?
I'd welcome the opportunity to, yes.
Everything except 7, 8 and 9.
So I'm speaking to the motion except for 7, 8 and 9, Lord Mayor. Yes. So members, I'd like to make some opening remarks regarding the budget. So this has been shaped through many months of discussion, consultation, prioritisation, and let's face it, difficult choices. I'd first like to begin by thanking the CEO and the administration who have done an excellent job in working with us since December last year. I'd also like to thank the many community members, the resident groups, the business groups and stakeholders who have also participated in the consultation process. I'd also like to acknowledge that the scrutiny and debate that's happened around this chamber and also in the committee room is significantly important, and while we may not always agree, it has absolutely helped to shape the budget that we have in front of us tonight. I initially wanted to reflect on how, while we often talk about numbers in the budget context, it's also important to reflect on people and the people who are impacted. And while we had overwhelming support for the strategic direction of this budget and business plan based on the feedback we had from the council, it's also important that we acknowledge the concerns that are out there in the community. And no one, and I don't think anyone here does pretend that these are not challenging times for many households and for many businesses, whether in relation to cost of living pressures, whether around rising business costs, or even general economic uncertainty, as we've all seen unfold in the Middle East. But members, I reflect on our role here and where we might have been voted by individual people, we're ultimately here to represent the city as a whole. We're here to represent residents, businesses, workers, students, visitors, as well as future generations. There's a really positive story that sits behind the budget that continues to build the momentum that we have gained over a number of years. For example, we continue to invest in main streets. Now, clearly, that may not be happening as quickly as everyone would like, but that continues to happen, and it needs to happen in a way that does not repeat the mistakes that were made on Jetty Road. We're increasing support for economic development. We're increasing our investment in safer streets in and around school. We're also backing in more greening being one of the top priorities that is routinely identified by our community. We're also doing this in a world which is changing, and that's why we've got investment in things like AI, we have investment in electric vehicles, and we're also doing this in the context of understanding what are the changing retail patterns. I'm reminded as we prepare to look at this budget going through tonight is the reality of some of the choices that we face. And ultimately, every budget process does involve choices. We've heard much debate in the last 6 or 7 months around the need to reduce the amount of rate changes that occur, around how we potentially want to allocate more money to certain activities, but also how we identify efficiencies. And I think what we've learned through this whole process is Can I seek leave for a further couple of minutes, Lord Mayor? Thank you. What we've learned through this process is that these are hard-fought wins and gains to be able to identify the funding that we're looking for to support all of the different priorities across our budget. Lord Mayor, I suggest as we look at the budget tonight, there are three tests that we need to apply to it and three questions we need to ask ourselves. And please feel free, members, to write them down or commit them to memory. The first, is it financially responsible? The second is, does it invest in Adelaide's future? Is this a budget just about today, or is this a budget about today and the future? And does it respond to the needs of today's community? Members, I'd suggest that ultimately this is a responsible budget. It's a balanced budget. It continues to deliver on our strategic plan. It also balances budget repair, which we have taken on with gusto, and also addresses the challenges around CPI. And it does this while recognising the challenging financial circumstances that not just this council, but the broader community finds itself facing. And I'd recommend you to support the budget.
Thank you very much. Your seconder, Councillor Marr, I think? Oh, no, Councillor Giles, sorry.
Lord Mayor, I'll reserve my right.
So then, Councillor Marr, did you have your hand up? No, Councillor Kabada. Councillor Kabada?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I've just got a couple of questions. Just so I'm clear, could administration please confirm the operating surplus of the budget for 26-27?
I think that's part 4 of the recommendation, is it?
It is.
Part 4. And for my understanding of the process under the Local Government Act, is Council able to adopt the business plan tonight with amendments or only as presented?
Can I, through me, ask?
I didn't hear the question.
Can Council tonight, do we have to adopt the recommendations as adopted, or can we move an amendment to the recommendations?
That's a matter for the chamber.
Thank you for that. I have moved a amendment that I'd like to put forward that I've had governance help me put together. So I'll just ask for a seconder for the amendment.
Is that under the
Under C, Part C. No, this is different.
I'm sorry, I just need to sort this out. This will cause consequential changes. And I have to say I don't recall this request being in the AIDA suite of policies.
Under the advice from governance, they said it was fine to
I'm
put
sorry?
this amendment forward. Governance said this amendment was fine to be put forward.
No. I'm just commenting on the fact that I haven't seen this in their suite of.
Oh, that's fine,
wishes.
Lord Mayor.
And
Just a
Councillor
quick
Martin,
question. Is it only this that's the amendment? There's not more that we can't see on the screen?
No, that's it, Councillor Martin.
Is that a question, Councillor Martin?
Just a point of order, Lord Mayor. Councillor Kabada has moved previously for an allocation in excess of $1 million to AIDA, which included provision for those funds to be used to strengthen the nighttime economy. That was voted down and it's back again. I'm just a bit confused.
I just need to understand, there seem to be amendments to multiple parts of this document. We're not actually talking about number 8 because we haven't moved that yet, Councillor Kabada. So can we change number 8 to a different colour so as not to confuse us? Because that's the one that I'll be leaving the room with. So we're not debating that. So we're only debating the first 3. So can I have some advice about this, please?
Through the presiding member, the proposed amendment is to include an additional one-off allocation in the AIDA budget of $150,000, while such an allocation was contemplated in a previous motion that was lost. That doesn't prevent it coming back in a revised form. So technically, it's a valid amendment. The important consequence of the amendment is that there would be a consequent reduction of the operating surplus of 4.9 by the quantum of 150,000. That'd pull it back to 4,826. And there would be a consequent increase in borrowings of the same amount, which would increase the borrowings to 81.494.
So can we just go back and talk about number 2, which I think then gives me another conflict of interest? Part 2. And so sorry? I don't think we have a seconder as to date, so there's no seconders. Councillor Martin. I'm sorry, I can't hear you, Councillor Martin. Are you seconding the nighttime economy? Councillor Martin, were you seconding something?
You were looking for a seconder for...
No, for Councillor Kabada, his amendment.
For the amendment?
Yes.
This is an amendment to the...
This is an amendment to the motion passed by Councillor Siebentreut.
Councillor Davis is happy to...
Councillor Davis has seconded it. We're happy to, it's legal, is it? Okay, so it is seconded and I'll vacate the chair. I think Councillor Siebentreut has to come into the chair.
This is for the amendment.
This is just the amendment.
Because the Lord Mayor has a conflict.
Yes.
Government said to do it this way. I'm not the expert.
Chair, in relation to the motion, it relates to it.
It's the same matter.
Okay, we'll recap where we're up to. So it's been moved by Councillor Kabada. Advice from administration is that we can accept this. Can I confirm that you're seconding this, Councillor Davis? It's been seconded by Councillor Davis. Would the mover like to speak to the amendment?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I've had it since I put the motion last week, which I understand a lot of the colleagues in the room didn't support it. I still have had a lot of businesses that are in the nighttime economy come to me and say that they're still struggling. What else is council going to do? We're putting up rates, and how are we going to support them? What part of the rate increase that they're going to receive, the extra money they're going to be paying, that is not going to go to the families, how else are we going to be supporting them? I think last week, given Renew through Q1, an extra $100,000 was good. And that's why I've come back today with a modest investment of $150,000 into the nighttime economy, taken from the operating surplus to help the nighttime economy and the businesses that are struggling out there. I'm not asking for this to be handed into the nighttime economy straight away. I'm happy for this to go through the Q1 review like we did with Renew, and for administration to come back to us to see what needs to be prioritised. Most people in the chamber voted for that amendment as part of Councillor Noon's amendment. So I wouldn't see why this wouldn't be supported here today. Everyone mentioned that they support the business community, that they want businesses in the city, and they're supportive of them. So I think giving a modest $150,000 through the economic development to help our nighttime businesses in the city. And if you walk down Hindley Street, you'll see how many shops are up for lease. This will hopefully help with that and will help us get more rates. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Kabada. Would the seconder, Councillor Davis, like to speak to the motion?
Can I just ask, if I speak, do I lose my right? I don't lose my right to speak to the substantive motion, do I? Yeah. Okay, I'll reserve my right then. Thank you.
Sorry, you've seconded it. That means you've already lost your right to speak to the substantive motion. I've just been advised.
Okay.
So speak now or shall I hold your peace?
So I can't speak to the substantive motion? Okay. I completely support this, but I'll speak to the entire motion. Now, councillors, we have had...
You can only speak to the amendment, Councillor Davis. So you've because you've seconded this, you are restricted to speaking to this amendment, but you're not able to speak to the substantive motion. That's the advice from governance.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So when we're talking about the amended motion, the motion that Councillor Kabata is presenting is actually the entire motion, yes?
No, it's just the amendments
Not
in
just
red.
the red bit.
It's the amendments in red, Councillor Davis.
So where in the standing rules does it say that I'm only allowed to be talking about the bit that's amended rather than the motion, which would become the amended motion?
Happy to get the reference for you, Councillor Davis. We're just searching for that at the moment. Councillor Martin, did you have, is this a point of order?
While Councillor Davis is awaiting his advice, Chair, look, I'm confused. I thought I heard Councillor Kabata say he wanted this to come from QF1. Is that Councillor Davis's view as well, or is it coming out of the budget?
So my interpretation, Councillor Martin, is that the amendment that's in front of us is $150,000 in FY27, so it's not part of the review. I didn't pick that up myself. It's not part of the Q1 review. It's from FY27 budget. And the reference to the part of the standing orders?
So he can speak to it. That's okay. He can speak to the amendment as a motion.
Okay, Councillor Davis, I have some updated advice for you. So you are able to speak to the broad motion as part of speaking to the amendment.
And that's my understanding, because the motion is the whole thing. It's just been amended.
Wonderful. We're in your hands, Councillor Davis.
Great. Thank you very much. We have had many months of consultation, many months of reports, workshops, briefings and public discussions. But let's be honest about what has actually happened. The original budget has barely changed. Now, residents have spoken, businesses have spoke, community leaders have spoken, and they have told us clearly that people are under pressure. Costs are rising and confidence is falling. And many ratepayers simply cannot see enough improvement to justify what they are being asked to pay. And tonight, we are set to approve a total rates revenue increase of 7.1%. Now, over the last 4 years, this council has received around $65 million more income per year, every single year. And despite $65 million, we are still told we are in a crisis. So I think we need to ask the obvious question. At what point does this stop being a budget crisis and start being a leadership crisis? Because if every year we charge more, borrow more, spend more, and still say we are in a crisis, then the problem is simply not revenue. The problem is direction. The problem is discipline. And the problem is the priorities of this council. And this council is very much stuck in a loop. When criticism is directed at the council, the answer is often, what was the advice of the experts of the administration? And when criticism is directed at the administration, the answer is, well, that was a decision of council. So who owns the outcome here? Now, our ratepayers do not care about that internal blame game. They care about the bill that arrives in their letterboxes. They care about whether the city is clean, safe and well run. They care about whether businesses are surviving. They care about whether they are getting value for money. And too many people are asking a very fair question. What am I getting? What am I getting for this? Now, members, you've acknowledged the hardship, but then you add to it. We acknowledge that there are cost pressures, and then we increase them. We acknowledge concern, but do not meaningfully change the course. And there is a big disconnect between Town Hall and those who pay us to be here. I was very much concerned by the suggestion last week that ratepayers should somehow be grateful for the increase in tax. But I do not think that they will be grateful. I think many will be angry. I think many will be disappointed. And I think that they will be right to ask whether this council has understood the pressure they are under. A budget is not just a spreadsheet, and it is a statement of priorities. Every extra dollar we take from ratepayers must be justified, and every increase must be tested. Our ratepayers are not an unlimited... Oh, can I have 30
Would you like to
seconds?
seek leave to continue? All those in favour? Leave granted.
Thank you. Our ratepayers are not an unlimited source of revenue. You cannot tax a city into prosperity. You cannot rebuild trust by asking people pay more while telling them things are still getting worse. I do not believe that this budget does enough to control costs. I commend Councillor Kabata's motion to improve an obvious problem of our city, but I don't think it does enough to protect our ratepayers. This is not sustainable. We need discipline, new priorities, and above all, I think we need to remember who pays the bill.
Do I have any other speakers on the amendment? Councillor Giles? Now, just clarifying, if you speak to the amendment, you'll be speaking to the broad, no? It's just the mover and seconder. Great to clarify the process.
Okay.
You're right just to speak to the amendment, Councillor Giles.
Look, I don't think we should support this amendment because we all have people talking to us about what they wanted to have included in the budget. The difference is between people who want this sort of spending is that we do have a body that can look at this as a priority, and that's AIDA. AIDA's funding has been increased in this budget and will be increased over the next following budgets. I would have thought that AIDA's job was to address the question of the city's night economy as part of their major work. And allocating an additional $150,000 into the budget that will be delivered by Adelaide Economic Development Agency, according to this amendment, is just like giving AIDA $150,000 more, and we have given them something that we've now agreed upon, which is a growth in their budget. $150,000 as a one-off amount outside of any properly developed strategy that will actually really assist the night economy is, I believe, a waste of money, because $150,000 isn't going to do it. We need a proper plan from AIDA, and we need to invest properly in order to look at our night economy. I could easily have stood up today and amended this budget for things that my constituents have talked about to me in the process of the budget. For example, the finishing of Whitmore Square, or the greening of the western side of the city. But I haven't, because we've gone through a process where we have come to what Councillor Seabatrit identified as being a responsible budget that meets our strategic plan and looks at the future. But we can't all put our little bits of pieces in the last minute in the budget. So I'm urging Council to just stick with what we had discussed previously. Otherwise, we could have everyone putting up their favourite little bits. And the final point, really, I think, is that we do have a body to look at the night economy, and that's called AIDA, and they have additional money in this budget.
Thank you, Councillor Giles. Councillor Marr?
Councillor Davis just said that he thinks this budget does not do enough to control spending, but he's happy to spend $150,000 extra on the last day right before we approve the budget without a business plan, without policy, without any idea of what this actually delivers. I guess I don't understand that comment. I would suggest to Councillor Cabada, if he does want to do this as a quarterly review, perhaps at a future meeting of council, or maybe later in the motions without notice, he requests that we do this in a quarterly review, similar to the Renew Adelaide assessment that we're going to do in Q1 of next year. To that end, I would suggest you do it in Q2, so we're not spending all the money at once. A question for the administration: does this come? How would this be delivered? It comes from borrowings, is that correct?
CEO, the question is, how would this be delivered?
Through the presiding member, the funding source for the reduction in the operating surplus would be an increase in borrowings.
And then a subsequent question, I assume we pay some interest on that. How much would this actually cost by the time we paid for the borrowing?
Question for the administration. So we're looking at interest on $150,000 borrowings.
So through the acting presiding member, I think the current interest rate through LGFA is in the order of 5.65%, thereabouts, but I'm not proposing to do maths on the run.
15 grand extra.
We'll leave that to you to do a back of the envelope calculation.
So about 165 then, with 15 grand extra, if that's the case. I think we can probably do this a much better. There's a much better way of doing this if we looked at this in say a Q2 review. And I'd suggest that the councillor who brought the motion consider doing that later. It might be supported at that time, but as it is as an amendment to this, I don't think. I think after we've done all of this effort to get to this point, a change at the very last minute is very difficult to accept. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Marr. Question, Councillor Davis?
Would this be an operational expenditure or a capital expenditure?
CEO?
Through the presiding member, it's an operational expenditure, but our level of borrowings is determined based on our need for new and upgrade and also the cash flow that is generated through the operating surplus. Therefore, if you reduce the cash flow, you need to fund it some way.
Right, but my question is that are we currently, from operational spending, in deficit or are we in surplus?
Currently, or the forecast budget?
Forecast budget.
Forecast budget determines a surplus, but the quantum of the surplus impacts on your level of borrowings.
Sure, it has an impact, but that means that every single project we've ever given is funded by borrowings. Is that what the CEO is trying to say? Or is it?
What I'm saying is that the level of borrowings is influenced by the level of the operating surplus. The budget was predicated on an operating surplus of 4.976 million, resulting in projected borrowings of 81.344. If you change one number, you have to change the other.
Sure, but this would be funded out of operational surplus.
Thank you for the questions, Councillor Davis. There being no further speakers to the amendment, Councillor Kabata, would you like to sum up?
Thank you, Chair. I've listened carefully to the concerns and I want to answer them plainly. We were told we can't afford it. We have a $4.976 million surplus. Administration confirmed it tonight. We can't afford it. We were told we don't know where the money comes from. It comes from that surplus. And the sources confirmed through the review this council set up 2 weeks ago. We were told this isn't the process. Well, it is the process. It's the one this council voted on 9th of June. Fund the savings. All I've done is apply to the wine gap we left open. Some members said, fund the money and I'll support it. Well, the money is found. It's in the surplus. It's in part 4 of the recommendation in front of you. So I'll hold you to your word tonight. So let's be honest with ourselves about what's actually left to decide. It isn't the money. The money's there. It's in the process. The process is ours. The only thing left on this table is whether we have the will to use what we already have to help the people who need it. $150,000 out of nearly $5 million surplus. For the traders keeping this city alive after dark, at the hardest moments they faced in years. I'd ask you to picture this. If you were to be a business owner on Hindley Street or Goodger Street or in the East End, watching what we do here, if we broke this down while sitting on a surplus, we are telling them the money was there and we chose not to spend it on them. I'm not willing to send that message, and I hope no one in this chamber is. The money is there, the need is there, and the process is ours to make. The only question left is will, and I'll ask every member to support this amendment.
Thank you, Councillor Barter. We'll put the amendment to the vote. All those in favour? All those opposed? Declare that lost 3-4. Division has been called. All those who voted in favour, can they please stand? Those in favour stand.
Councillor Kabata, Councillor Couros, Councillor Davis.
Thank you, members. I'll now vacate the chair and hand it back to the Lord Mayor.
Could I just raise a point of order?
You may.
Look, generally speaking, as a matter of courtesy, can members refrain from staring at each other's computers or phones or things like that while they're speaking? I think just giving people some privacy would be nice.
Privacy is always welcome in the chamber. I suppose if it's out on display for everyone to see, someone might catch a glance. Otherwise, I think that's a reasonable request. Thank you, Councillor Davis. So we're now going to go back to the substantive motion, and then we'll come and deal with 8 and 9 a little bit later.
Ross. Please do.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. No surprise to anybody, I would not be supporting the 26-27 budget. I recognise that there's been significant work undertaken by the administration and acknowledge that there have been many worthwhile projects and services are included within the budget. However, my responsibility is to determine whether the budget delivers the right balance between financial sustainability, service delivery and value for ratepayers. My concerns remain largely unchanged from previous years. Firstly, the budget continues to rely on increasing rates and growing debt, while many of the Council's major strategic projects remain undelivered or delayed. Ratepayers are being asked to contribute more each year, yet a number of the projects that have been promised for several years, including key Main Street upgrades, have not been delivered within the timeframes originally anticipated. Secondly, I do not believe the budget adequately demonstrates that all reasonable efficiency measures have been exhausted before seeking additional revenue from ratepayers. At a time when households and businesses continue to face cost of living pressures, Council should be demonstrating a stronger commitment to identifying savings, improving productivity and ensuring every dollar spent delivers measurable outcomes. Thirdly, I remain concerned about the Council's increasing debt position. Debt levels are increased significantly. While borrowing can be appropriate for major infrastructure projects, it must be accompanied by confidence that projects are being delivered on time, on budget, and in accordance with community expectations. We are borrowing to deliver on renewals and greening, I believe, which is concerning to me. I'm also disappointed that the budget does not place a stronger focus on economic activation and supporting city businesses. Adelaide's businesses, traders, property owners are critical to the city's success. While some additional initiatives have been included, I do not believe the budget goes far enough in driving economic growth, increasing visitation, supporting businesses' confidence. As a resident, I know that supporting our local businesses helps by creating vibrant, active and safer neighbourhoods, maintaining property values and ensuring buildings and shopfronts remain occupied and well cared for. After all, they do make up 73% of our rate revenue, and only 6% of the revenue is used to support economic development. With residential rates making up to 27%, I don't believe we're being fair and equitable. Finally, I believe the community expects greater transparency around priorities and delivery. Residents and businesses have repeatedly told us they want investment in the things that matter most to them: well-maintained infrastructure, vibrant main streets, safer and attractive public spaces, and projects that can be delivered within reasonable timeframes. For those reasons, I'm unable to support this budget. My vote is not a vote against Adelaide. It's a vote for stronger financial discipline, greater accountability, improved project delivery, and a budget that I believe that better reflects the priorities of our residents, businesses, and ratepayers. Rates are increasing faster than outcomes are being delivered. Debt continues to grow while major projects are delayed. Insufficient evidence of organisational efficiencies before asking ratepayers to pay more. Not enough investment in economic growth and activation to generate future revenue and prosperity. And in answer to Councillor Siebentritt's questions, no and no and no.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other comments? Councillor Martin.
Oh, look, thank you, Lord Mayor. It'll come as no surprise that I support the budget. I participated, as most councillors did, in 9 meetings. I beg your pardon, I may have missed one, but most of us attended at least 50, oh no, not all of us attended 50%, some attended less. But Lord Mayor, let me tell you, for those of us who attended the meetings, this budget has changed substantially over the course of its formation. Not only have we landed on what I think is an acceptable rate increase, that's 5.6%, not 7, whatever it is, 5.6%, at a time when the ABS says inflation in the City of Adelaide up to the end of April was 4.5%. We've achieved that 5.6% increase, recognising CPI, catch up for the neglect, the utter neglect of our assets over the course of the previous councils, and additionally met the skyrocketing costs that we've incurred for a range of services and contractors that are vital to the work that we do. Lord Mayor, if you vote against this budget, and I know there are some people contemplating voting against this because they've said they will, you'll be voting against an operating surplus. That is a surplus with an S, not a D for a deficit, a surplus that enables us to quickly get on board for any opportunities that arise during the course of the year and pay down debt. How else do you pay down debt other than by generating a surplus of almost $5 million? You will vote against also a capital program of $111 million, pumping hard cash into the economy of Adelaide, into the pockets of contractors and their staff, and also into the pockets of businesses who rely on such people. Now, that money is going on a whole range of projects, everything from greening to upgrades to safety around schools so that our children can go to and from school in safety. If you vote against this budget, you'll be voting against a $68 million allocation to renewal of assets. That is to ensure that our footpaths are walkable, that you don't trip over lumps of concrete, as indeed people were doing until some years ago. Lord Mayor, if you vote against this budget, you will be voting against an allocation to our subsidiary, ACMA, which will enable it to bring to life the Central Market Arcade redevelopment, and an enormous income stream for this council. If you vote against this budget, you'll be voting against an allocation to AEDA, our principal economic development agency. Yes, I'd love a moment more, Lord Mayor. It's such a wonderful story. I'd like to tell more.
Point of order, Lord Mayor. Do I stand for a point of order? I thought we were only voting for 1, 2 and 3, not the ACMA and the AEDA budget. Is that correct? Oh, I'm a bit...
That's true, we're not debating.
So that's what? Can the councillor please retract his comments? Thank you.
Should not have... Is that on?
Yeah, it's on now. It was on.
Okay. Look, I'll mention, and I hope Councillor Couros doesn't insist that you leave the room, but I'm going to mention AEDA, because if you vote against this budget, as Councillor Couros intends to...
Point of order, Lord Mayor.
Not debating AIDA, I know.
No, I just think, isn't AIDA included in the debate?
I know, you're
it's only
right.
1, 2
I
and 3?
agreed with you the first time.
Okay, thank you.
Look, the budget, and the recommendation is that we approve the budget and business plan. The budget and business plan includes those elements.
I have a point of order.
These
actually,
petty
I have
points of
Martin is
order.
debating the chair.
Councillor Martin, can I just say I've been corrected by the CEO who says the whole of budget does include AIDA in a point. Could you clarify, please?
Through the presiding member, the motion before you, 1 to 6, incorporates the total business plan and budget for 26-27. That includes an allocation through to AIDA, which is then contemplated separately under Clause 8, which is the Adelaide Economic Development Agency's budget, which proposes how they will spend the allocation.
So I think that I was in error. Councillor Couros and Councillor Martin should carry on.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Councillor Couros will be voting against an allocation to AIDA that is 12% higher, 12% higher than it was last year, higher than any other subject line in the budget. Additionally, voting against, oh, another one.
My understanding was that members shouldn't be referencing each other when they're speaking, just speaking to the motion itself.
Thank you, I appreciate that, but we are talking about the voting in the budget.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, and I don't understand why you can declare I'm going to vote against something and no one else can reference that. It's an extraordinary point of order, but nothing less than I'd expect. Lord Mayor, $300,000 for small business through AIDA. If you vote against this budget, you also vote against a new funding proposal for our Main Street groups. $750,000, 3 times what we've previously spent to stimulate economic activity in these commercial precincts. Lord Mayor, if you vote against this budget, you also vote against things like reform of our outdoor dining furniture policy. We're giving people free outdoor dining when they come to the city to set up business. We're waiving fees that were previously imposed for transfer of licences. That's what you're voting against. And additionally, you're voting against the cascading plan that we have for AIDA of funding through each of the next couple of years to ensure that they reach 10% of our rate collection in their allocation each year. Lord Mayor, simply put, this is an extraordinarily important budget. It caps a period of, was that another bell?
It's a bell to say you've had your second 2 minutes.
So, and that includes all of the interruptions, Lord Mayor?
I don't think we've got an interruption, it's not like FIFA, I'm sorry.
Okay, Lord Mayor, look, let me just conclude by saying that this is much better than a FIFA match. This is game, set and match in tennis terms. It is a budget about which this council can be proud.
Can I ask if Councillor Siebentreut wishes to sum up?
I'd be happy to sum up, Lord Mayor. Thank you. First, I'd like to begin by thanking members for your continued contributions to the debate. And I'd like to once again acknowledge the affordability concerns, business concerns and the different perspectives. We've heard about different perspectives and some of the challenges. In fact, Councillor Kabata's flagged the issues that exist in the West End, and absolutely, as Councillor Marr mentioned, something perhaps we can return to later in a Q1 review. Also remind residents and small businesses who may be listening that there are hardship provisions within our policy framework here at councils for those who are genuinely doing it tough at the moment. Members, I did pose 3 tests earlier on and I'd like to come back to them. Is this budget financially responsible? Does it invest in Adelaide's future? And does it respond to the needs of today's community? The answer to that is yes, yes, and yes, it does. I believe this budget does satisfy all those tests. But we need to accept and recognise the reality of some of the trade-offs that we're dealing with. And these are trade-offs that are being dealt with at every layer of government. I was listening to the State Treasurer just recently, Tom Koutsantonis, at a CEDA event, and he observed that there is no world in which governments can continually reduce revenue, reduce debt and create prosperity at the same time. It just doesn't exist. Local government, members, is no different. We cannot reduce rates while at the same time increase spending, maintain every service and strengthen our financial position without making hard choices. That's what a responsible budget is all about. We've heard talk tonight and in previous meetings around the need to continue to look for efficiencies, and I absolutely support that. I supported it when I moved a motion in this chamber December last year, and again I've supported the independent review, which I know is up on the agenda a little bit later on tonight. It's also important to look at, as part of responsible leadership, how this relates to strengthening the long-term sustainability of the city. Now, I know some in the chamber might shy away from discussions about budget repair, but when we do budget repair, it's about shoring up the long-term sustainability of this council's financial position. We've had questions around, is this never ending? Well, we know it's not never ending. We've been told the Asset Renewal Repair Fund, for example, we funded it for the last 3 years. My understanding is that is now at an end. We've also made allocations to the asset renewal funding ratio for the last 3 years. There is still more work to be done on that. But responsible financial management doesn't mean that we walk away from those challenges. It means we meet them head on. This is also a budget that is about the future of Adelaide, and we know that if cities are to thrive, they need to invest, they need to adapt, and they need to prepare. And again, we're seeing this as a budget which is embracing the opportunities that AI presents. It's looking how we build infrastructure for EVs. Who needs a reminder of that, given what's just been happening in the Middle East and the challenges that's caused around fuel security here in Australia? This is a budget that also invests in economic competitiveness and also economic development. I've got about a minute to go, Lord Mayor. Do you seek leave? I would love to seek leave, thank you, Lord Mayor. Yes.
If you stop talking now, turn the lights off.
In concluding, Lord Mayor, I'd like to note that while we're elected as individuals, our job is here to govern for the city as a whole. We govern for residents and businesses. We govern for the priorities for today and for future generations. And while this budget may not provide every part of what community members have asked for, it is responsible and it is balanced. It invests in Adelaide's future and it responds to the needs of our community. And it reflects our responsibility to leave this city in a stronger position in which we found it. That's why I'm proud to support this budget and I commend it to the Council.
Thank you, Councillor. All those in favour? All those against? A division has been called.
Members, a division has been called in relation to item 13, points 1 to 6, 10 and 11. All members in favour please stand. Councillor Martin, Councillor State, Councillor Giles, Councillor Steventry and Councillor Marr.
Thank you, that's carried.
Yes.
Would you like to say it or should I?
You should say it.
I said it. And that was carried. Thank you. Now can I ask for item 7 if Councillor Martin would like to vacate his chair? Councillor Steventry, would you like to move item 7?
I'm happy to move it, Lord Mayor.
Seconded by Councillor Snape. Is there any debate on that? Councillor Couros.
I'm not going to vote against this, Lord Mayor, because I absolutely do support what the Adelaide Central Market Authority do, and I just want to congratulate them on the very good work that they do for the Central Market. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Any other debate? If not, shall we take the vote then, Councillor? Do you wish to sum up? All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Thank you. I will now vacate the chair for number 8. Could we call back 8 and 9? But in the process, we'll have to take them in parts so that Councillor Snape.
Thank you, members. So we're back looking at parts 8 and part 9. Part 8 is in relation to the AIDA budget. Part 9 is in relation to Caterpillar. So we're going to do part 8 first. Can I please have a mover for, it's moved by Councillor Snape, seconded by Councillor Kabata. Would the mover like, reserve your right, would the seconder like to speak? Councillor Couros, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, I do. Actually, just very briefly, just to say that acknowledge the good work that the Adelaide Economic Development Agency do within the parameters of the very small budget that they do have. They are a very well-respected organisation, and I believe that this council should look in the long view and enable them to do more in this space. They have gone through 2 reviews and have acknowledged that all of those that they were meant to adhere to within the reviews. They are a skill-based board. We should listen to them. We should listen to what they're telling us where we should be spending our money. We've had great workshops with them. I feel that we need to invest more because the money that we give to the Adelaide Economic Development Agency is measured. Unlike in the past, before AIDA came on board, it was councillors' ideas thrown to administration on how to spend money on economic uplift, and it wasn't measured. Through this method, it is measured, it is scrutinised, and we should respect that, and we should respect the board, and we should be giving them more money to enable them to do more than they need to do, especially for the fact of our nighttime economy is suffering, Harley Street needs some support, our main streets need support, and this budget also allocates to our precinct groups, which we all do support all favourably, and we need to also acknowledge that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Couros. Councillor Marr.
It is extraordinary that we have such high praise for AIDA from a councillor who just voted against giving them any funding at all by voting against the budget.
Point of order.
What's your point of order,
I don't
Councillor
believe that the
Couros?
councillor should cast, what's the word?
Thank you, Councillor Couros. I would encourage you, Councillor Marr, to reserve from commentary about how
And I think his opinion to the subject matter, because I supported ACMA and AIDA.
Thank you, Councillor Couros.
And that
I've heard your point of order.
Inappropriate.
I've heard your point of order, and I'm encouraging Councillor Marr to focus on Part 8 rather than other councillors' motivations.
I think it's just extraordinary.
We know.
Well, take it you're referring to Part 8 is extraordinary. Are there any other speakers? There are no other speakers. Councillor Snape, would you like to sum up?
Thank you, and I am proud to stand alongside the other councillors tonight who voted to give AIDA a 12% increase to their budget, a budget that is deserved for a board which is doing so much amazing work. So I thank those councillors which continue to support AIDA by supporting this motion and supporting this budget, and I commend it to the Chamber.
You have missed out Councillor Davis because that was moved by Councillor Snape and he's now summed up, so I do need to put it to the vote. I put that to the vote. All those members in favour? All those opposed? Division. Declare that carried. Division's been called. Can those members voting in favour please stand?
Councillor Martin, Councillor Kabata, Councillor Snape, Councillor Giles, Councillor Couros and Councillor Marr.
Thank you, members. We'll now move on to Part 9. Councillor Snape. Division was carried on that previous item. We're now moving on to agenda Part 9. I can see this. I have a mover, which is Councillor Davis. I have a seconder, which is Councillor Marr. And just noting that Councillor Snape has now left the room due to a conflict. And Councillor Couros, you're looking like you're wanting to speak. Already have a mover and a seconder. Oh, you'd like to speak? Great. Would the mover like to, I'm just going to go to the mover first. Would the mover like to speak to this?
No, I don't want Councillor Couros to speak either, but all right.
Okay, so you're reserving, both reserved your right. Councillor Couros, would you like to speak?
I think it's only important that I acknowledge the good work that Caterpillar, the Adelaide Parklands Authority do and the board. So I think it's only fair that I acknowledge them as well in this moment.
Thank you, Councillor Couros, for that acknowledgement. Councillor Davis, are you looking now to sum up?
Yeah.
I'm just going to check there weren't any other speakers. There are no other speakers. Councillor Davis, we're with you to sum up.
I just want to acknowledge all councillors' good work in acknowledging the good work that other people do.
I acknowledge that acknowledgement, Councillor Davis. We'll put that Part 9 to the vote. All those in favour? Declare that carried unanimously. Thank you, members.
Is completed, so now have we dealt with both AIDA and Caterpillar?
Yes. All done. Yep.
All done? Oh, gosh, it works better without me than with me, doesn't it? Before we move on, can I just explain the point of order and a personal explanation about why I didn't support the idea that Councillor Martin was in error to debate about someone voting against the motion. He wasn't reflecting on the motives of an individual councillor. He was just giving the impact of voting against the whole budget. So, personally.
I would. I'll happily move all of these on block. I think I can just speak very quickly to this.
Sorry, Lord Mayor, I do not want to vote for it en bloc. This is for all items from 7.1 to 7.4, including the Melbourne Street one?
She wants to pull for.
Can I just clarify, the move was moving en bloc, you don't want en bloc?
I'm not wanting to vote for 7.4, so that means I have to vote against the whole lot.
So is the
happy to break to 7.1, 2 and 3 en bloc, and then 4 separately? Would you be happy to do that?
Sure, in the interest of saving everyone's time.
Yes. Okay, so we'll just have the first 3 items. That's live music, integrated transport, and capital works. Councillor Marr.
Sure. That makes my very brief speech 1/4 shorter. I'm very, very keen to see the live music circuit recognition plaques come to fruition. That's something that we've been trying to get done for a few months. I'd like to congratulate staff on their efforts. And it is a shame Councillor Freeman is not here. I'm sure she would have plenty to say about the integrated transport strategy implementation plan. I'll just leave to say that we're getting on with that. That's good. And well done to Mr McCready and his team for the Capital Works update. Thank you.
Lord Mayor, not to hear it on block, but I'm happy to second for the sake of the.
Is there any other comments on the first 3? Councillor Davis?
Look, I am pretty flabbergasted, I think, at a couple of things in terms of how much the plaque cost, a bit of metal, paint, and some more paint stuck to a wall. That cost that we were told seems completely exorbitant to me. And I think for an item that you could probably get done for $50 being charged 10 times that, I have significant reservations about the cost in relation to how much it actually costs to do that. As well as in the integrated transport strategy, a lot of the items in there I think are exorbitant and won't necessarily deliver, or there aren't actually benchmark KPIs against what we're actually doing here. Biketober, for example, I think the total cost is, just as one example, $225,000 for Biketober. If we can't find, Hindley Street is, for example, an ongoing element of the city. Biketober, I really question what our spend per extra bike ridden is. That hasn't been set out to me, and I can't really see how we should spend $225,000 over the next 3 years when I don't consider that there'll be a meaningful number of additional people riding their bike in the street. I think that it'll end up being, hundreds of dollars. We're paying essentially someone to ride their bike into the city at hundreds of dollars. I think there is a huge amount of waste in the integrated transport strategy that could significantly alleviate the pressures on ratepayers. So I struggle to support the plaques for $600 and I consider there to be massive waste in the integrated transport strategy. So for those reasons, I won't support the motions. And I think that we should look a lot more critically and carefully at how that money is spent with proper KPIs and proper business plans and analysis to what we're actually getting for the huge amount we're spending under these 2 items.
Thank you very much. Are there any other comments on this? If not, would you like to sum up, Councillor Marr?
Perhaps Councillor Davis can let us know his plaque supplier. That'd be nice.
Do you want me to do you one?
I don't think we need a conversation. Thank you, Councillor Marr.
Let's move on to the vote.
Thank you. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Thank you, members. We'll move on now to item 7.4, which is moved again by Councillor Marr, seconded again by Councillor Martin, and unless you have any comments, Councillor Marr, we'll move to Councillor Kouros, who wishes to speak against it, I think.
Oh, Lord Mayor,
I'm sorry. You seconded it, so you can't. Oh, you were just waving at me. Sorry. Did anyone? Can I ask if someone seconds the motion before we get it amended? Councillor Giles has seconded it. I think Councillor Martin did not want to second it. He wants to amend it. So if you don't want to speak now, shall we find out what his amendment is? Councillor Martin. Oh.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. If I can perhaps allow members to read it.
Councillor Couros is seconding.
Okay.
Councillor Martin, please proceed. I think this is understood by everyone.
Okay, thank you, Lord Mayor. Look, it simply asks the administration to prepare a document for us for QF1 budget report in relation to Melbourne Street. Can I just say at the beginning, I've spoken at committee about a part of the motion in its entirety, which foreshadows a 40k speed limit for Melbourne Street, and I confess I was sceptical. Subsequent to that, I've spoken to others, and particularly to businesses on Melbourne Street. I also note the submission of the North Adelaide Precinct Association, and it is now clear that a majority of people do support that, and indeed our public consultation suggests in excess of 2/3 of people, or close to 2/3 of people, support it, and so I will do so as well. The amendment, however, is directed at addressing two concerns, and the first is about community scepticism about what are called flexible curbside spacing concepts. And so it asks the administration to identify a small section of Melbourne Street, as suggested by you, Lord Mayor, last week at committee, to enable a trial, to demonstrate to people how it works, and they can determine whether they think it's a great idea or a bad idea. And the second point recognises, and I emphasise, I don't support the council agreed decision to defer the Melbourne Street upgrade. I would have much preferred it proceeded on schedule, but nevertheless I do understand why members supported that, and what I'm asking is for some small improvements to Melbourne Street in the interim. I'm not anticipating hugely costly improvements to Melbourne Street. I'm simply asking for a report that identifies some relatively easy things to do. For example, the Melbourne Street upgrade includes changes to lighting to enable permanent underground power to a lighting system. But I wonder if we could ask the administration to have a look at whether, for the nighttime economy in the street, we can have a look at the existing ferry lights to ensure that they are all working and serviceable, and maybe add some new ones. I do know from a quick look at AI that such lights do only last a couple of years at best, when they're in the elements 24 hours, but that will be enough time, I think, to enable that upgrade to get underway, and they are relatively cheap items to install. Lord Mayor, no, I don't wish to speak further. It's pretty straightforward, and I don't exclude from that other initiatives suggested by the administration.
Councillor Couros, seconder.
Only to say that I agree. I spent some time on Melbourne Street and with some of the residents regarding the 40-kilometre speed limit. They're not too concerned about that. They're more concerned about us getting on with it. This would have been one of our top lists of streets that we should have done from the beginning. It's an easy street to address. It's smaller. It's one of those low-hanging fruit scenarios that we could have completed this within the 4 years. However, it's been retimed to later on. So I welcome a trial section. I welcome about the comments regarding the lighting. The existing ferry lights, I'm told, are causing some damage to the trees. If you can take that back as feedback and have that looked at, please. I did send an email about it. I don't know if that's been already addressed. I didn't double check. But if we could replace them, that would be great. So I welcome this, and I really would welcome to retime it if we can, but I will leave that in the hands of administration if they can review that.
Thank you, Councillor. So, Councillor Snape, and then I think we're in furious agreement here.
Thank you. Yes, just to say, I did briefly have a stint as an area councillor, but I do serve as a South Ward councillor. And when an issue comes for Chamber and both all councillors in a particular ward agree furiously, I think it's the right thing of a council to support that. If South Ward had development and upgrade in South Ward, and you found Councillor Davis, Councillor Siebentritt and myself all in furious agreement, I would hope the council would support us in that as well. So I commend the cooperation between the two councillors and look forward to supporting this motion.
Thank you. We'll move this motion, the amendment. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. That now becomes part of the motion. So, Councillor Marr?
Can I sum up? Summed up.
All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Thank you, members. We'll now move on to item 15, which is some process issues to do with the rate decision we've just made. Councillor Siebentritt?
Yes, happy to move it, Lord Mayor.
Seconded by Councillor Couros. Not seconded, seconded by Councillor Martin. Would you wish to speak to it,
Reserve my
Councillor
right.
Martin? No. Councillor Couros, do you wish to speak?
I have a question in regards to the 1.785 million regarding the landscape levy. Do we know how much that comes back into the City of Adelaide? Is that known to us? No, I understand it's not, but we still haven't got a clear sight over that, how much of that comes back into the City of Adelaide.
We'd have to take that on notice.
All right, and how do we apply the increase? What was the thought of the administration from 400 per annum to 415 per annum? What was the thinking?
That's the minimum rate you're discussing?
Yes.
3.5%.
It's 3.5%.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? If not, would you like to sum up, Councillor Siebentritt?
Summed up, Lord Mayor.
All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Thank you, members. Item 16, it's 15.2. This is Code Blue. Councillor Martin, moved.
Yeah, I'd like to move a varied amendment.
If you have a seconder. Councillor Snape is seconding. Thank you.
Thank you. I supplied that to the administration.
We can do this, can we, within the time frame? Yes, we can. Thank you. And it's seconded by Councillor Snape. Please speak to it.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Look, I know it's against the rules, but can I refer to a text on my phone, Lord Mayor? Last night...
No. The rule's the rule. You can't use your phone.
I think that I've made a decision that sometimes, for instance, Councillor Snape left his notes behind last week, and I said he could read his speech from his phone. I think it's reasonable. If this is just one text you wish to read.
It's a text I'm reading, Lord Mayor, and unfortunately it's not tattooed on my body, so there's no other means other than referring to this to...
Could you just read it out and we can see what it says?
It says, around Naughty Nana's Cookies on Hutt Street, there are at least 10 men there in horrible conditions. It's across from the Arab Steed. Poor things. Surely the government should help them. There are other bigger camps south of Hutt Street. They're not causing trouble, but should be helped. Is there anyone I can contact?
I think you might put the phone down now.
Oh, thank you, Lord Mayor. Now, Lord Mayor, my purpose in reading that is that homelessness, particularly rough sleeping, is now so prolific in the streets of Adelaide that even the agencies concede it's 250 people plus a night. And that's just the bottom end of it. Every agency will tell you there are probably people, certainly a lot of women living in cars, coming into the city to areas where they feel they're protected, certainly safer than they are in other places, not counted. These people, as we've known in Hutt Street, a man in a car died from the cold a couple of years back. These people could perish. They are at risk. They're cold, very cold, and in fact, we've had a code blue issued, I think, in the last 7 days. Now, the proposal I put forward, and which is the subject of this report, is contrary to our policy position. That is, that homelessness is a state government problem. And my proposal, as a trial, during code blue alerts, has been summarily dismissed by the commentary. I think it's fair to say that the commentary from the administration is not supportive in any way. Lord Mayor, I think there are times when all of us should be guided by compassion, and we should be guided by some sense of human kindness. We have people living in this city on footpaths, on blankets, in shop doorways, and I don't know about you, but I just find it hard to ignore. It's a part of the city that shouldn't be part of the city. Yes, I am, Lord Mayor. I accept what the administration is saying, somewhat reluctantly, but I accept it. What I find hard to believe is that we spend, as Councillor Davis was observing, $225,000 on, what's it called, Bike Day, Biketober, something similar. We're going to spend $250,000 celebrating the anniversary of the installation of a couple of spheres in Rundle Mall. And yet we don't seem to have the capacity to do anything for people who are literally at death's door every time there's a freezing evening on the streets of Adelaide. So having said, I accept what the administration is saying, that there is just no way that we can do this. I would like to ask the administration, as part of noting their findings, that they report to us in September, by the end of September, on ways in which we could do something to support rough sleepers when there is a code red tier 2 emergency in the summer of 26-27. And we know from the information available to us that that was on 6 occasions in the summer just past, and moreover, that the summer was potentially more dangerous to human life than the colder weather. Lord Mayor, I'm simply asking for a means by which we can do something for people who are down on their luck and who deserve something.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. And I want to thank Councillor Martin for his advocacy and compassion in this matter. It is an issue quite close to a lot of our hearts, and I know work also in the past of Councillor Giles in this sector as well, and advocacy in that sector, I should say, as well. An often quoted line is, a community can be judged by how it treats those most vulnerable, and this is no exception. I acknowledge that council is not a service provider in this area. I acknowledge that, and this motion, I think, also acknowledges that, but does ask that quite clearly. What can we do? What is within our remit? What is within our purview and our ability to help those who are doing it the most tough in our city at the critical time of a severe weather emergencies, in this case obviously code red heat waves. I think it's the least we can do, acknowledging, as I said, that there are limitations to that, and I wholeheartedly support this and encourage the rest of the Chamber to do so as well.
I mean, I support this motion, and it's a very complex issue. And when you see people sleeping rough in leafy North Adelaide, you go, there is a problem. And we have a problem on our streets, and the problem doesn't only extend to people that are finding themselves without a home. It's also extending to the streets that we have mental health issues there, and we have substance abuse right on our streets, which the services that the government has provided, there's got to be a crack. There's got to be something missing that is not helping these people that need the help.
I agree with everything that has been said so far. There's only so much that we can do as a council. We're not a human services provider. We don't have that sort of budget that the government has. But it's almost like I feel like I'm begging the government to come up and to come to the party and help these people that need help in more ways than one, not only with a home, but also with mental health issues, and also, as I said, with substance abuse. It is beyond anything that administration can do in some circumstances. I welcome whatever support we can do as a council. It's often something that we've talked about all the time, a lot as a council, and we've yet to really be able to find that sweet spot in which we can work with the government, and if an administration could work with the government on resolving these, or if the government could work with us, shall I say, it would be good if the government could work with us to resolve these issues, because no one knows these streets better than us.
I got the opportunity to speak with a homeless man, and he was saying that he was actually he used to work on Wall Street, and he was a senior executive in the last century, and he was on like big money, like 6 figures. He was extremely wealthy in New York as well, and he felt that that was unethical, and he didn't want to do that anymore. So he came back to Adelaide, where he grew up, and he opened up a bookshop. And he was selling books, and he lived somewhere else, and eventually, over time, the bookshop wasn't doing that well. He wanted to have a more grounded life. And so as the bookshop started to lose income, he gave up on where he was living, and he started living out of the bookshop. And then he continued to lose more money in the bookshop, and he couldn't pay his rent, and then he ended up homeless. And something he said to me was he didn't start off with mental health issues before being homeless, but he certainly had mental health issues after becoming homeless. And he talked to me about the rats and the cockroaches that would climb over him, get in his sleeping bag as he was just trying to go about his life. And that left him basically in the position where he is, really unable to get himself out of a hole. Now, in Australia, about 3.7 million people, roughly 1 in 7 or 14% of Australians are living under the poverty line. And councillors, you're asking what we can do. We just passed the budget where over the last 4 years we've increased our revenue by $65 million a year, per year, every year, and it will continue to increase going forward in the long-term financial plan. People's real wages are going down. We have ratepayers, about 14.2% of them, who are living below the poverty line. And I'm really concerned because the tone here has now changed from what a great job we've done to how much we care about them, how much we care about people living on the street, and also those people who will become homeless as a result of rising costs, a reduction in real wages, and essentially a functional recession that we're having here in Australia. But yet there's jokes around the cost of a plaque, which costs $600. And we're spending money on Biketober at $225,000 a year. So councillors, when you're saying it's all too hard and there's nothing we can do, I mean, I take responsibility for it. And I've failed to convince you that we should be cutting costs. So I'm struggling to see how everyone in a sombre tone talks about the plight of those living rough. And I'm concerned that there will be more people living rough, and yet the councillors want our ratepayers to thank us for the amazing job we've done of increased rates. I just don't see how those things reconcile. No, thank you.
Councillor Davis is right, have increased the revenue, but has also increased our expenses of about the same amount. So I'm not quite sure what his point there is. We are, sorry, may I continue without being interrupted?
You don't have the floor, Councillor Davis.
I've gone over this report a couple of times, and to put it into a sentence, we seem to be stuck in a governance issue where this is a state government-led initiative that they They effectively do not want our help. That puts us in a very difficult position as a council because we have to deal with the flow-on effects of what could probably be described as a failed state program. I don't know what else we are able to do within that governance situation. It makes it almost impossible for us to progress. I would suggest, I don't think we need a motion for it, but perhaps this would be a problem for the new Minister for Adelaide to address.
The 60th anniversary of this building being opened in 1866. We've had breakfast radio in the morning and we've had citizens engaged in tours, and several councillors were part of that event, as indeed many councillors attended the citizenship ceremony last week, which again was one of those uplifting opportunities for council members to meet new Australians and new citizens. Many of you may have not noticed the activities that occur in North Adelaide Library. The most recent event I attended was a Country Women's Association scone day, where I ate more than was necessary. But it was an interesting opportunity because many people just came to drop in and have a bit of a yarn. I also went to the Women in Media event, where women talked about their contribution to journalism, communications and broadcasting and the difficulties they had with trolling and misogyny. I had the privilege of spending time with the Papua New Guinea Minister for Foreign Affairs, the Honourable Justin Thatachenko, who actually started his career as a horticulturalist and was here to attend bilaterals with the Australian government. I also attended the David Roach Gallery 10th anniversary birthday party, where there's an exhibition that's free. I recommend it to anyone with time and able to visit North Adelaide in Melbourne Street. They spoke to 20 South Australian artists, mainly associated with the jam factory, and asked them to reinterpret a piece of their choice from 18th to 20th century crafts on display in the gallery and create pieces to reflect their skills and charms. It was an extraordinary exhibition. It finishes on the 1st of August. I recommend it to you. Finally, our council was involved with two projects which received awards at the South Australian Architecture Awards this weekend. The council didn't actually receive the awards, but JPE Design Studio with Warren and Mahoney and Carl Telfer won the City of Adelaide Prize for Design Excellence and the People's Choice for their work on the new Aquatic Centre, and Swanbury Penglaze won the David Saunders Award for their work on the facade upgrade. So it was a nice event for the 160th anniversary. So could someone move the receipt of my report? Moved by Councillor Siebentritz, seconded by Councillor Couros. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Thank you, members. 17 is council reports. Any? No? If not, can we move the recommendation as printed? Moved by Councillor Snape, seconded by Councillor Martin. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Thank you. We'll move on then to item 18. These are motions on notice. The first one, 18.1. Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Seconded by Councillor Snape.
Thank you. This is, as members will recall, a deferred motion. I think we were meeting late into the evening and I agreed to defer this until June. Lord Mayor, I'm sure you've heard, I've certainly heard people say that we must have a terrible relationship with the state government. People do seem to think that whenever there is a disagreement between the council and government, that we are sworn enemies. But Lord Mayor, you and I both know that nothing could be further from the truth. Notwithstanding the disagreements, the genuine disagreements that we are entitled to have, we get along very well. The Lord Mayor, as I'm sure many of you know, is in regular and occasionally daily contact with state government ministers about matters concerning the city, matters about which we have a joint interest in ensuring that the city works effectively and efficiently and in the interests of all. And in addition, there are meetings of what's called the Capital City Committee, which is a meeting chaired by the Premier and including the Minister for Adelaide, invited ministers, Secretariat, the Lord Mayor and 2 elected members, at which time matters of joint interest are discussed. Lord Mayor, this proposal seeks to formalise the wishes, the hopes of the City of Adelaide in respect to a number of strategies, programs and projects which are detailed by the administration in the discussion at the bottom of the motion at 1.1, into some kind of more formal approach to government for their participation in the projects. Now, I'm not suggesting the state government isn't aware of our desire for their assistance with some of these major projects, including the bridge and the weir. But formalising that together with some new and substantial initiatives that Council has developed, including those that are mentioned here, the school safety review, a project that requires some $40 million of investment, and much of that investment in the area around state schools, but also around private schools, and the integrated transport strategy, which involves a lot of state government decision-making in relation to the movement of traffic, the construction of roadways, bikeways, and the like. Now, that is not an exclusive list. I would add to that other things, Lord Mayor, but the administration undertakes to go away and develop that list and present it in a formal letter and also for discussion at Capital City.
May I ask just if it would be possible to add 2 words as a variation, whether it would be possible to say seek state government funding and other assistance? I only say that because, could you colour it? And it is a slight variation. It's just that in government there is, I think, an ennui about local government always wanting money, and we do want assistance to collaborate and seek funding from the federal government, and it would just help us to have a full...
I think that's an entirely reasonable variation, Lord Mayor. I'm happy to agree to that.
Sorry? Councillor Snape needs to agree. Is Councillor Snape happy with that? Yes. Thank you. Councillor Snape, would you like to speak to them? Councillor Kouros.
I just have a couple of questions. When you say and other assistance, does that leave it open? Could we add also identified main streets in that list?
I'm sorry, I can't quite understand. Can you just clarify?
I'm trying not to...
It's not limited to.
It's not limited to.
Okay, so we can add requests about main streets. I don't want to amend the motion and
No,
take it away.
we can put everything in there that we're interested in.
And also, when was the last Capital City Committee meeting?
November.
November of last year. And when's the next one?
I think it might be in the next 2 months. There was an interregnum around the election.
Oh, okay. Oh, right, okay. One hasn't been called? We're not sure if it's a couple of months?
We're seeking advice.
Okay.
Any other comments? Councillor Marr.
Just off the back of the previous motion, could we perhaps add the homelessness issue as a topic of discussion in this letter? Thank you.
Sorry, do we know what she does yet? Do we know what the Minister for Adelaide's specific job role is? I'm still uncertain as to what the Minister's supposed to be doing. It was very broad.
I'm sorry,
it was
I'm not sure what he's...
matters concerning the...
I have been the Minister for Adelaide and I don't believe there was a job description then, and I have no idea if there's one now.
Okay. Cool.
Summed up, all those in favour? All those against, that's carried. Thank you, members. The next motion is Councillor Davis, major events.
Thank you. I move this motion because I think we need to reset a broken down relationship.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Cabana.
Sorry, I'll start again. I move this motion because I think we need to reset a broken down relationship between the state government and the City of Adelaide. A mudslinging match between council and state government, carried out on the front page of the paper and the morning radio, is not serving our ratepayers well. It does not serve our residents and it does not serve our businesses. And frankly, if all we do is shout from the sidelines, we should not be surprised that we have been dismissed and sent off to the kiddies table. The kiddies table is not where a capital city belongs. We are the City of Adelaide. We are the host council. We are the level of government closest to our residents, businesses, traders, hotels, venues and parklands. And we are most directly affected by major events. So the question before us is not whether we like or give consent for every proposal by the state government. The question is this: do we want to be at the table, shaping outcomes, protecting our residents, supporting our businesses and making these events work? Or do we want to be outside the room complaining after the decisions have already been made? I strongly support major events. They bring life and energy into the city. They bring visitors, jobs, vibrancy, economic activity and life. Adelaide is a festival city, a sporting city, a cultural city, a tourism city. Major events are part of who we are. But support does not mean silence, and concern and advocacy does not mean opposition. That is the balance council needs to get right. Our role is not to be activists, our role is to be advocates. We should advocate for residents who are worried about road closures, noise, access, trees, and disruption. We should advocate for businesses who want these events to succeed because they bring people through their front door. We should advocate for the parklands because they are held for the benefit of our whole community. And we should advocate for proper planning, transparency and consultation because major events only work when the city is properly prepared. That is why this motion matters. It says clearly the council does not oppose major motorsports or major sporting events in principle. It says clearly that we are willing to work constructively with the state government because the last time the state government major events group met with us was in August 2025, almost 11 months ago. But it also says we need information. We need to understand the location, timing, road closures, infrastructure, and impacts on trees. Our parklands, butterfly conservations, impacts, noise, business impacts, resident impacts, and economic benefits. How can we properly represent our community if we do not have that information? And how can we properly protect residents if we are not in the room? How can we support our traders if we do not know what is coming? How can we help the event succeed if we are treated as an obstacle instead of a partner? To me, this motion is a reset. Sorry, 30 seconds. It is not anti-event, it is not anti-government, and it is not anti-growth, but it is pro-Adelaide. It says we are a council that says yes to major opportunities, but we also insist on doing the work properly. We should not deal ourselves out of the seat at the table. We should claim our seat at that table. This is how we protect our residents, this is how we support our businesses, and this is how we protect our parklands. And this is how we help major events succeed in the City of Adelaide. So I commend the motion to you.
Thank you. Before we move to the seconder, can I just draw your attention to 24.2 in the comments? It would be normal for the Lord Mayor to write to the Premier, not the CEO, because it's a different status. So, Councillor Cabana,
I'm happy to change that if you want.
Would you be happy to change that? Thank you. So we've got a slight variation. Are the seconder happy with that variation? Thank you, Councillor Cabana. So it's just at the bottom in number 8. Thank you. So would you like to speak, Councillor Cabana, to this?
I'll reserve my right for now. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Does anybody else wish to? Councillor Snape and then Councillor Marr.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. And I actually will support this motion because it just sets out clearly the position of council which has been consistent in supporting a number and range of major events, including festivals, including sporting events, tennis opens, etc., while acknowledging that we have expressed concern as a body in regards to some of the destruction of a parkland. So I thank Councillor Davis for bringing this motion to the Chamber. I also thank him for his recent new support for the campaigners to save our trees in the parkland as well. It's very much welcome, and I acknowledge that. Just to address Councillor Davis' earlier comments, though, about issues between council and state government. This body has written polite, formal letters to the state government. I don't wish to put any words in Lord Mayor's mouth, but the Lord Mayor, in my observation, my opinion, has been very reasonable in public commentary. I would not suggest, and I do not support the idea that there has been an argy-bargy between the council proper and the state government. Rather, the state government has unfortunately lashed out at various groups and various individuals which do encompass the council in regards to commentary in opposition to the destruction of the parklands. That is a separate thing as to the council body itself, which has been very respectful, in my opinion, and the Lord Mayor and CEO in their dealings to the state government, and very professional indeed. So that being said, I do support this motion. I think affirming our role and our position in support in the continued supporting of major events while wanting to protect our parklands is an important thing. And I think this is a no-brainer for everyone in the room to support and make our position very well clear. So thank you, Councillor Davis, once again.
Seconded, not Councillor Kamala, not now. Okay, Councillor Marr.
Just a very short comment, I think. Actually, well, maybe not. Maybe I'll go on for a bit. This is a consistent motion with council's position, as it has been since I've been on council. And I think the idea of calling it a reset is an interesting one. While I support this in full, and I'm thankful for Councillor Davis for bringing it today, it is a symptom of the announce and defend efforts of our state government, as opposed to a collaborative approach to the various events and developments that they are undertaking. I don't think anyone has actually said quite fairly what the council's position is from the external. There's been a lot of comments about what council does and does not support that are not consistent with what council's actual actions are and what councillors' actions are. So while I understand that Councillor Davis has characterised this as a reset, I hope it prompts a reset from other commentators as well. And a minor correction, Councillor Davis said the front page, I was actually on page 7, not page 1, sorry. But at that point, one of the quotes, which was unfortunately cut off, was about how we have been elected to represent and advocate for our ratepayers and residents of the City of Adelaide. That's what it says in the legislation. And we would not be doing our job if we were not asking these questions, if we were not making our best efforts to ensure that what happens in the city is for the overall benefit of the city. That is our job. It is very unfair to have that characterised as opposition to events, when it is quite simply seeking to deliver those events in the most effective way possible, with as little disruption as possible for the better of the people who come to visit, the people who live and the people who work here, and the businesses that reside here. I'm very pleased that Councillor Davis has brought this today, and I hope it has the intended effect.
Councillor Kouros, I'm so sorry.
Sorry, Lord Mayor, I wasn't going to speak to this, but I just feel compelled to do so. I have to commend Councillor Davis will bring this motion in. It's an olive branch to reset. I would say that's the word that was used here. We need to have a seat at the table. That's what's important for us. And Lord Mayor, I just want to commend you throughout this whole process and in regards to our parklands. You've handled everything with such eloquently, and there's no criticism of that part. However, I do criticise some of the social media commentary from councillors, which are not warranted and does not represent what me as a councillor, how I would like to go forward. And if there's anything lashed back from the state government in regards to it, it's because it was a reaction to the social media comments that came out first. So I think we've got to look at ourselves collectively and act honourably. And I think...
Point of order, Lord Mayor. Did the social media comments come first, or did the development proposals come first?
I think that Councillor Kouros is counselling us about the tone of some of our comments. So I think...
So would that therefore not be a correct statement then?
I think she's keeping on track at the moment. Can I just let her carry on, and we'll have a debate afterwards if she is unruly or disorderly or offensive.
Being unruly, Lord Mayor? I don't know.
Oh, well, I don't think you have yet, but there's always an opportunity. There's definitely an opportunity.
I just want to commend you, Lord Mayor, for your commentary in regards to this and your leadership. Thank you.
Councillor Kabata? No. If that's the end of the comments, would you like to sum up, Councillor Davis? Councillor Martin, did you wish to speak? Sorry.
He's ready.
Okay, just waving it.
Look, I think it's very, we probably see this in our own lives, it's very easy to blame everybody else. But in my view, requesting a reset to the relationship between the City of Adelaide, whether it's real or perceived, I don't intend to attack those who own the table we wish to sit at. And I don't think we need to defend our current part in the conflict. So regardless of how we think we've acted, individually and as a council, and regardless of whether Minister Tom Koutsantonis thought we were out of line, and regardless of whether the police minister did not perhaps appreciate some of the comments made by councillors, I think we need to reset that conversation. And we as a council as a whole, and as councillors individually representing the council, need to remember that we should be acting as advocates to get the best outcome for all of our ratepayers. And that may not always mean taking the hardest line approach, but one of diplomacy and advocacy, and perhaps not necessarily activism as a local government entity and as councillors. So look, I hope that this is met with the state government and I think we have unanimous support here, that we want to be at that table, that we want to advocate for our residents, some of which who can't even get out of their homes during the Adelaide 500 and now are looking for a month-long, I can't get out of my front doorway. No, I won't go there. That we can actually make those arguments in a persuasive way. And the fact that we haven't met with them since August 2025 as a major events board, I think is concerning as well. I understand there are reasons around the Capital City Committee. Perhaps we need to redouble our efforts, ask and push for that communication and those meetings to be reopened, and reinvigorate our relationship with the state government so that we can deliver the best for our ratepayers and for the people of South Australia.
So I notice there are 8 people on the floor, and it's just possible I'll have to vote. I would support this motion if I get the chance. And I want to commend Councillor Davis for so faithfully following the narrative that I've tried to follow, because he's actually synthesised all the arguments I've made over the last month. In particular, this council has never collectively or as part of our decision-making criticised a member of government. We have never spoken against events generally, and we invest a significant sum of money in supporting them. From my point of view, I have been highly critical of the legislation about the North Adelaide Public Golf Course 2025 because I don't think it's the sort of legislation that helps a collaborative response between the state and the council. And I have highlighted less about trees than the risks to our business community and our ratepayers and our residents. When I talk about the risk, I often talk about the problem when you have a city with 172,000 people coming to work every day, and the fact that we do not want them to work from home. We want them not to be deterred. We want them to come into the city. And I have spoken as the council, I think, has begun to understand about the road redevelopments. But having said that, it would reassure you to know that I've probably met or spoken on the phone with more than half a dozen ministers in the last week and talked about matters of common interest so that we are still in communication, we still work together, and generally we are a very supportive council of all the government's initiatives, and we're partners. Passed. It was carried. Councillor Kabada, 18.3.
Thank you, and I've got a variation.
Can I just say there have been comments about whether this is ultra vires. I believe it's not.
Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Lord Mayor, can I seconded by Councillor Couros.
Can we scroll down a bit further, I think, because I think there was, that part as well.
Is this different? This is your amendments, not anybody else's?
Yes.
Can we just scroll through them so we know what we're doing?
Of course, Lord Mayor.
So,
I'll give you a few minutes.
But it's not limited to, yes, that's a catch-all. H seems like a reasonable comment.
Thank you, Lord Mayor.
And absolutely, I think that was what we decided before. So this is very similar to the motion before,
It was,
with a
yes,
little
Lord Mayor.
more instruction.
Yes, I've just took advice from some of my colleagues.
We're happy to take that, aren't we?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, thank you, Lord Mayor. So after Councillor Noon moved an amendment to my motion last week, I went away and I thought, since she's...
What is the strike here?
It says development, I think.
No, in G, is the strike here?
Oh, there should be full stop after future investment.
Oh, they're not struck out, are they?
Sorry, wouldn't that be that'd be a semicolon, I think, and then that.
No, they are meant to be struck out. I just put it on there so they could note the changes that I made to the motion.
So we're deleting that.
That's right, yes.
Thank you.
Yes, that's okay, Lord Mayor.
Thank you, sorry about that.
Sorry, Lord Mayor, wouldn't we need to move the semicolon and from F into G so that it's all consistent, because now there is a new H?
Yeah, we should get rid of the and.
Yep.
Could we just delete the and?
You can do whatever you wish, Lord Mayor.
So I meant the and after F, yes, it's a very funny place. Sorry, I think we've tried that. So everyone happy with the grammar? Punctuation, spelling, okay, let's go ahead. Councillor.
Councillor Martin wants to go to the top to just have a look.
I think Councillor Martin, you're not seconding this. Seconded by Councillor Couros.
No, I'm wanting to see the top of the motion. No.
Okay, can we just scroll it down? There's nothing much changed at the top.
No.
Sorry, Councillor Kabada, we just.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. No, that's okay. You let me know when I'm good to go. I'm good to go. Thank you, Lord Mayor. So, based on Councillor Noon's amendments last week, I went away and I thought, seeing we're getting a report done, there's no point me doing another motion and notice in a few months to get another report done with things I would like included. So, I just thought I would include them in the report that is coming before Council before the next budget, with things that I thought were important that I would like to have a look at before the next budget is approved. So, I went through it and I added what I thought I would like to see in that report. One, to save time and to save cost. And also, based on administration's comments as well, there is no added cost to adding point 5 to the motion that Councillor Noon moved through. There's no legal implications. There's nothing. They said it's clean, and they were supportive in their comments. So I would just urge all members to support it. This is things that I would like to have a look at specifically when the report comes back, and it's safely having to move a motion in the near future. Thank you all for your support.
Councillor Couros? Trying to speak, or were you waving at me? Yes. No, okay. Councillor Sieben.
Lord Mayor, at the risk of making a shopping list, I did have a minor amendment, which I think council will find is consistent with what is above. I'm happy to explain that.
So you're the AI?
I'm not the AI personally, but I am putting forward the amendment.
Do we have a seconder for that?
This is not a chat.
Is there a seconder? I think it's going to lapse.
I'm happy to second that. But
Councillor Mars seconded for the purpose of debate.
I think we'll have to, maybe if we put that in after F, and then we don't have to mess with the rest of them.
Do you wish to speak to it, Councillor Sieben?
Yeah, I will very briefly. Members, I know we've discussed the role potentially of AI previously in identifying savings. This is really just to make that explicit, that it is part of this. There's already clearly work happening in that regard. I understand, for example, the maintenance of assets, there is AI technology now being deployed that can help with planning and prioritisation that generate in excess of 20-30% savings. So if we're able to offer, identify savings to that extent as part of a process like that, I think it's well worth including.
I will take this opportunity to speak to the whole motion and just say I'd like to thank Councillor Cabata for the collaborative nature that he took with this motion, bringing it to the chamber today. Yeah, it was good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Couros, did you want to speak? Amendment do, or why don't we get rid of the amendment and then speak afterwards? Councillor Snape.
I'm just very uneasy about the use of AI and the environmental resources and ethical involvement of it. So I will not be supporting the blue. I will be supporting the motion as a whole to get to that point.
Well, let's move on then. Let's take a vote on this. The amendment from Councillor Sieben-Tritt. Do you want to sum up? All those in favour of the amendment? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Against? 1, 2, 3. That's carried. That becomes part of the motion. A division has been called.
Members, a division has been called in relation to item 18.3 to the amendment. I apologise. Members, please stand until your name has been called. Councillor Cabata, Councillor Couros, Councillor Sieben-Tritt, Councillor Davis, Councillor Marr.
Councillor Couros, would you like to speak to the motion? It's carried.
Only to say that thank you for Councillor Cabata for clarifying the parameters in which we were looking at doing this report. I think when this was amended on the fly, it wasn't very clear. I supported it at the time, but it needed to be further improved in what direction the administration were going in regards to what we were looking for here. Regarding AI, I think AI it's going to get bigger. It's going to interrupt the way that we do things, and we need to get ahead of it. But I support this in regards to AI to improve efficiencies. But I thought we already had a motion in train in regards to this anyway. But you know, it's always good to look at how we can do things better. And I think this Councillor Cabata and Councillor Sieben-Tritt bring it for the amendment.
I think everyone's in furious agreement now, Councillor Cabata. Would you like to sum up? Well, I think if you sum up, we might vote for it. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Thank you. Motions without notice. If there are none, we'll move on. We've had questions on notice, which have been distributed. Questions without notice. There are none. Can I ask someone to move the exclusion, item 22, moved by Councillor Cabata, seconded by Councillor Sieben-Tritt. This is for item 23. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Thank you, members.